Have you ever experienced a moment in life where you had everything planned perfectly? You imagined how things would happen, you pictured the happiness you would feel, and you believed that this was the path written for you. You made your decisions carefully, you worked hard, you prayed sincerely, and you placed your hopes in that one outcome. But then suddenly, everything changed. The door you wanted to open remained closed. The opportunity you waited for disappeared. The person you hoped would stay walked away. The dream you held so tightly slipped away from your hands. In those moments, the heart asks questions that are difficult to answer. Why did Allah allow this to happen? Why did my dua not come true? Why did I lose something that I wanted so badly? These questions come not because a person has no faith, but because the heart is searching for understanding. When we love something deeply, losing it feels painful. When we see our plans collapse, we sometimes feel as if our entire future has collapsed with them. But there is something beautiful about the way Allah manages our lives. Allah sees what we cannot see. Allah knows what we do not know. We see one moment, but Allah sees the entire journey. We see one door closing, but Allah sees the dangers behind that door. We see a loss, but Allah may be preparing protection. We see disappointment, but Allah may be saving us from something that would have caused greater pain. Sometimes the greatest blessings in our lives are hidden inside things we did not want. Sometimes Allah removes something from our hands because He knows our hands cannot carry it safely. Sometimes we cry over what we lost, while Allah is protecting us from a future that would have broken us even more. Think about a child who wants something harmful but does not understand the danger. The child may cry when the parent refuses. The child may feel disappointed and think, why did my parent not give me what I wanted? But the parent's refusal was not because of a lack of love. It was because of greater knowledge and deeper care. In the same way, when Allah withholds something from us, it is never because He has forgotten us. It is because His wisdom is greater than our understanding. There are moments when we make dua with tears in our eyes. We ask Allah again and again for something we desire. We believe that if we receive that thing, our life will finally become complete. But Allah, the one who knows the unseen, knows whether that thing will bring us closer to Him or take us away from Him. He knows whether that blessing will become a source of peace or a source of hardship. Allah tells us in the Qur'an, perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you, and perhaps you love something and it is bad for you. Allah knows, while you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2-216. These words are not just a verse to memorize. They are a message for every broken heart. They are a reminder that your understanding is limited, but Allah's knowledge has no limits. What feels like rejection today may become protection tomorrow. What feels like a punishment today may become the reason you thank Allah later. Maybe you lost a job that you thought was your dream opportunity. At that time, you may have felt lost and worried about your future. But years later, you may look back and realize that Allah moved you away from a place that was not meant for you and guided you towards something much better. Maybe someone left your life, and you thought you would never recover from that pain. You wondered why Allah allowed that relationship to end, but perhaps Allah knew what your heart did not know. Perhaps He was protecting your faith, your peace, your future, or your happiness. Sometimes Allah removes people because He wants to create space for better things. The human heart often becomes attached to outcomes. We believe, if I get this, I will be happy. If this happens, my problems will disappear. But Allah teaches us something deeper. True peace does not come from getting everything we want. A person who trusts Allah understands that every event has trusting the one who controls everything. Even delays have wisdom. Even unanswered du'as have wisdom. Even painful endings have wisdom. Nothing happens outside Allah's knowledge. Every tear you shed is known by Him. Every silent struggle you hide from others is seen by Him. Sometimes Allah delays a blessing because your heart is not ready to receive it. Sometimes a person asks for success, but Allah first gives them patience. Sometimes a person asks for happiness, but Allah first removes the things that were preventing happiness. Allah does not only give what we ask for, He gives what we truly need. The problem is that we judge our lives while we are still inside the story. We look at one difficult chapter and assume the entire book is ruined. But Allah knows the ending. A chapter filled with sadness does not mean the story has no beauty left. A difficult season does not mean your life will always be difficult. There is a powerful peace that enters the heart when a person says, Ya Allah, I do not understand what is happening, but I trust you. This does not mean the pain disappears immediately. It means the heart is no longer carrying the burden alone. It means you believe that behind every decision of Allah is mercy, even when your eyes cannot see it yet. Maybe today you are facing something you never expected. Maybe your plans change, maybe you are standing in a place you never imagined. But remember this. Allah's plan is always better than the plan you created for yourself. The one who created your heart knows what will heal it. The one who created your future knows what will protect it. So do not only ask Allah to give you what you want. Ask Allah to give you what is best. Ask Him to remove what harms you, even if your heart is attached to it. Ask Him to guide you toward what brings you closer to Him. Because sometimes the greatest mercy of Allah is not in what He gives you, but in what He saves you from. What if the thing you are crying over today was actually Allah's way of protecting you? What if the door that closed was the door that was keeping you away from something better? What if the delay was not a denial, but a preparation? Trust Allah's plan, because He is writing a story for you that your limited eyes cannot yet understand. From the moment we begin growing up, we develop a strong desire to control our lives. We create plans, set goals, imagine our future, and try our best to make everything happen according to our wishes. Planning itself is not wrong. Islam encourages us to take action, work hard, and make responsible decisions. But the problem begins when we forget that our plans are limited, while Allah's knowledge has no limits. Human beings naturally want certainty. We want to know what tomorrow will bring. We want to understand every reason behind every event. We want life to follow the path we created in our minds. We make plans for our career, our relationships, our finances, our families, and our dreams. We imagine a specific future, and when reality does not match that image, our hearts become heavy. The reason disappointment hurts so much is because we often become attached not only to the dream itself, but to the way we imagined it happening. We create a picture in our mind of how life should look. We think, this is the perfect opportunity. This is the person meant for me. This is the path that will make me happy. But sometimes what we call the perfect plan is only perfect according to our limited understanding. The truth is, we only see a small piece of the entire picture. We see today. We see what is happening in front of our eyes. We see the immediate result. But Allah sees yesterday, today, tomorrow, and everything beyond what we can imagine. Allah knows the hidden consequences of every choice. He knows what will bring us closer to Him and what will slowly harm our hearts. Imagine standing in the middle of a huge painting while looking at only one small corner. If you judge the entire painting based on that tiny part, your understanding will be incomplete. You may see dark colors and think the painting is ruined, but someone who sees the entire picture understands how every color and every detail connects together. In the same way, we see only a small part of our life, while Allah sees the complete picture. Sometimes we become frustrated because Allah does not follow our timeline. We want things immediately. We want answers now. We want our problems solved today. But Allah is not limited by our sense of time. What we see as a delay may actually be perfect timing. What we see as a setback may actually be a step towards something greater. We often say, I know what is best for me. But do we truly know? We know what we desire. We know what makes us happy at this moment. We know what we can see with our own eyes. But Allah knows what is hidden. Allah knows what will happen after we receive what we are asking for. Allah knows whether that blessing will strengthen us or weaken us. A person may ask Allah for something with complete sincerity, but Allah may not give it because He knows it would damage them. Just like a doctor does not give a patient everything they request, but gives what will heal them, Allah gives His servants what is best for their souls. Sometimes the answer to a dua is not receiving what we wanted. Sometimes the answer is being protected from something we never realized was harmful. One of the greatest tests of faith is learning to surrender our need for control. It does not mean we stop working. It does not mean we stop planning. It means after making our effort, we place our trust in Allah. We understand that our responsibility is to take the steps, but the final result belongs to Him. There is a beautiful balance in Islam. Tie your camel, then trust Allah. Take action, but do not believe that everything depends on your own ability. Work hard, but remember that success comes only by the permission of Allah. Plan your future, but leave room for Allah's plan to be better than yours. Many times, we look back at moments we once hated and realize they were actually turning points in our lives. The rejection that broke us became the reason we found something better. The delay that frustrated us became the reason we grew stronger. The ending that caused tears became the beginning of a new chapter. At the moment something happens, we may not understand it. Prophet Joseph, was thrown into a well, separated from his family, and faced many hardships. If someone looked only at those moments, they might think his life was falling apart. But Allah was preparing him for a position of honor and greatness. What looked like a disaster was actually part of a greater plan. This is a reminder for every person who feels lost today. Your current situation is not the final chapter. Your unanswered questions do not mean Allah has abandoned you. Your closed doors do not mean there are no doors ahead. Allah may be arranging things in ways you cannot see. The human heart wants a map before beginning a journey. But Allah often gives us guidance one step at a time. He wants us to walk with trust. He wants us to depend on Him, not only on our own understanding. Because if we knew everything about our future, we might never learn the beauty of relying on Allah. You are making plans based on today? Allah is planning based on your entire life. You are looking at one moment? Allah is looking at your whole journey. You are thinking about what you want now. Allah knows what your heart will need later. So when life does not go according to your plan, do not immediately assume that something has gone wrong. Maybe Allah is redirecting you. Maybe Allah is protecting you. Maybe Allah is preparing you for something that your current vision cannot reach. The peace of a believer comes when the heart finally understands. My plan may be good, but Allah's plan is always better. Because Allah is not only the one who knows what you want. He is the one who knows what you need. And when you trust His wisdom, even uncertainty becomes a place of peace. There are moments in life when we look at something that happened and immediately label it as bad. We judge the situation based on our feelings, our emotions, and our limited understanding. If something causes us pain, we assume it must be harmful. If something is taken away from us, we believe we have lost something valuable. But the Qur'an teaches us that our feelings are not always a reflection of reality. Something can feel painful and still carry hidden mercy. Something can feel like a loss and still be a blessing from Allah. Allah gives us a powerful reminder in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 216. Perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you, and perhaps you love something and it is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. These words are among the most comforting reminders for a believer. Allah is teaching us that our understanding of life is incomplete. We judge situations from the outside, but Allah knows what is hidden. We see the beginning of a matter, but Allah knows its ending. We see what is happening today, but Allah knows how it will affect our tomorrow. Think about the things you once wanted so badly but never received. Maybe you made dua for something for months or even years. Maybe you believed that if Allah gave you that one thing, your life would become perfect. You waited, you hoped, and you prayed. But it never happened. At that time, it may have felt like disappointment. It may have felt like Allah was not answering you. But later, with time, you may have realized that Allah was protecting you from something you could not see. There are blessings that we recognize immediately, and there are blessings that only become clear after years. Sometimes Allah's mercy is hidden behind a closed door. Sometimes the answer to your dua is not yes, because Allah knows that what you are asking for is not the best thing for your heart, your faith, or your future. A person may look back at their life and remember a moment when they were deeply hurt. They may remember losing an opportunity, leaving a place, ending a relationship, or facing a difficult change. At that moment, they thought their happiness was gone. But later, they discovered that Allah was moving them away from something that was not meant for them. How many times have people said, I thought this was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but later I realized it was one of the best things Allah did for me. This is the wisdom of Allah's plan. We often understand the value of Allah's decisions only after time reveals what was hidden. The verse also reminds us about another reality. Sometimes we dislike things that Allah places in our lives, but those things become sources of growth. A hardship may teach patience. A difficult season may bring a person closer to Allah. A struggle may remove arrogance from the heart and replace it with humility. Sometimes comfort does not strengthen us, but difficulty does. Sometimes ease makes us forget Allah, while hardship brings us back to Him. A person may enter a difficult period feeling broken, but through that difficulty they discover the power of dua, the sweetness of prayer, and the closeness of Allah. Look at the prophets of Allah. Their lives were not free from hardship. Prophet Ayub experienced illness and loss. Prophet Yaqub experienced the pain of separation from his beloved son. Prophet Musa faced fear and uncertainty. Yet every hardship was part of Allah's greater plan. If we only looked at one moment of their stories, we might think they were suffering without purpose. But Allah was preparing them, elevating them, and teaching lessons that would remain for generations. This is the difference between human vision and Allah's wisdom. Human beings see the test, but Allah sees the reward. Humans see the difficulty, but Allah sees the growth. Humans see the closed door, but Allah sees the path that opens afterward. The most powerful part of this verse is the ending. Allah knows, and you do not know. These words are not meant to make us feel weak. They are meant to give our hearts peace. They remind us that we do not have to understand everything to trust Allah. A child may not understand why a parent makes a difficult decision, but the child trusts because they know the parent cares. How much more should we trust the one whose knowledge and mercy are perfect? When something does not go according to your plan, remember this verse. When a door closes, remember this verse. When your heart feels disappointed, remember this verse. When you ask, why did Allah allow this? Remember that Allah knows what you cannot see. Maybe the thing you lost was preventing a greater loss. Maybe the person who left was making space for something better. Maybe the delay was protecting your heart from receiving something before you were ready. Maybe the hardship you are facing today is building the strength you will need tomorrow. The believer does not believe that everything will always be easy. The believer believes that everything is under Allah's wisdom. Even the moments we do not understand are still within His knowledge. Even the things that break our hearts are known by the one who created our hearts. So when life feels confusing, remind yourself, Allah knows what I do not know. When your plans fail, remind yourself, Allah's plan is greater than mine. When something leaves your life, remind yourself, if Allah removed it, there is wisdom behind it. Because the same Allah who closes one door can open another. The same Allah who takes something away can replace it with something better. The same Allah who tests your heart is the one who can heal it. You may not understand the reason today. You may still feel the pain. But trust that Allah's wisdom is working even when you cannot see it. One day, you may look back and realize that what you thought was a loss was actually Allah's protection. What you thought was an ending was actually the beginning of something better. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart at the same time. The plan you worked so hard for suddenly changes. The future you imagined no longer looks the same. The path you were walking on disappears, and you are left standing with questions, confusion, and a heart that feels heavy. You may have had a plan for your career, your family, your relationships, or your dreams. You may have spent years building something, believing that this was the direction Allah had chosen for you. Then suddenly, something happens that you never expected. A door closes, a person leaves, an opportunity disappears, and in that moment, it feels like your entire world has been shaken. One of the most painful experiences a person can face is losing a job they depended on. A job is not only a source of income, it can become connected to our identity, confidence, and sense of security. When someone loses their job, they may begin asking, what will happen now? How will I take care of my responsibilities? Why did Allah allow this to happen when I was trying my best? The fear is real, the uncertainty is real, but what we often forget is that our provision was never attached only to a job. A job is a means, but Allah is the provider. The same Allah who provided for you before you had that job is the same Allah who can provide for you after it is gone. Sometimes Allah removes one source of income because He is preparing another source that is better. Sometimes Allah closes a door because He knows that staying behind that door would limit your growth. What feels like financial loss today may become the beginning of a new opportunity tomorrow. Think about a seed planted underground. If someone looked at it from the outside, they might think nothing is happening. The seed is covered in darkness. It is separated from the world above, but beneath the surface, something beautiful is being prepared. Roots are growing, strength is developing, a transformation is taking place. Many times, Allah works in our lives in the same way. There are seasons where we feel hidden, forgotten, or stuck. We wonder why nothing is changing, but Allah may be preparing something within us before He gives something around us. Another painful situation is losing someone you deeply cared about. A broken relationship can leave a person feeling empty. You remember the conversations, the memories, the hopes you built together. You imagined a future with that person, but suddenly that future disappears. In those moments, the heart struggles to accept what happened. You may think, why did Allah let this person leave? Why did Allah allow my heart to be hurt? But sometimes Allah removes people from our lives because He knows what our hearts cannot see. A person may look perfect on the outside, but Allah knows what is hidden. Allah knows the future of every relationship. Allah knows whether that connection would bring you closer to Him or slowly take away your peace. Sometimes Allah protects you from a future pain by allowing a painful ending today. A broken relationship does not mean your story is broken. A person leaving does not mean you are abandoned. Sometimes Allah removes a person because He wants to remind you that your ultimate source of love, comfort, and security should always be Him. There are also moments when we lose opportunities we were certain were meant for us. You prepared for something. You waited for something. You believed it was finally your moment. Then someone else received it. Another person was chosen. Another path opened for someone else. It can hurt deeply when we compare our lives to others. We ask, why them and not me? But we forget that Allah's distribution is based on wisdom, not just what we can understand. The opportunity you missed may have been the opportunity that would have distracted you from your true purpose. Sometimes Allah prevents you from reaching a destination because He knows the road ahead is dangerous. Imagine someone trying to reach a place through a path that looks beautiful but contains hidden dangers. A person who does not know the path may become upset when someone stops them. But the one who knows the danger is actually protecting them. Allah sees the dangers we cannot see. There are times when Allah has to break our plans because our plans were too small for what He wanted to give us. We become attached to one specific outcome, but Allah wants to take us towards something greater. We hold tightly to one door, while Allah is preparing to open a completely different one. Sometimes Allah breaks your plans to build something better. He breaks your attachment so He can strengthen your trust. He removes your dependence on people so you learn to depend on Him. He changes your direction so you can reach a destination you never imagined. The hardest moments in life often become the moments that shape us the most. The person you become after hardship is not the same person you were before. Trials can create patience, pain can create wisdom, loss can create a deeper connection with Allah. Maybe today you are looking at your life and thinking, this is not how I planned it. Maybe you are disappointed because things did not happen according to your timeline. But remember, your timeline is limited, while Allah's timing is perfect. Prophet Yusuf experienced a journey that looked like one loss after another. He was separated from his family, placed in a well, sold into slavery, and imprisoned. If someone only looked at those moments, they might think his life was moving in the wrong direction. But every hardship was leading him toward a position of honor and purpose. The same Allah who guided Yusuf through hardship is guiding you through your journey. The same Allah who turned difficulties into blessings can transform your situation too. So if your plans have fallen apart, do not assume your life is falling apart. If something ended, do not assume your happiness has ended. If one door closed, do not believe there are no doors left. Trust Allah's wisdom, trust His timing, trust that every change, every delay, and every unexpected turn is happening under the care of the one who knows you better than you know yourself. One day, you may look back at this moment and say, Ya Allah, now I understand. What I cried over was actually what you saved me from. What I thought was the end was actually the beginning of something better. There are moments in life when we wonder why something we deeply desire is taking so long. We make dua, we work hard, we stay patient, and we wait for the change we are hoping for. But days turn into months, and months turn into years. The situation does not change as quickly as we expected. In those moments, the heart begins to question, why is Allah delaying this for me? But one of the greatest lessons a believer learns is that Allah's delay is never without wisdom. What feels like waiting to us is not waiting in the sight of Allah. Allah is not ignoring you. Allah is not forgetting your dua. Allah is not unaware of your struggles. Every moment of delay is happening under His perfect knowledge and His perfect timing. Sometimes we believe that receiving something immediately is always better. We think, if Allah gives me this now, my problems will be solved. But Allah knows that a blessing received at the wrong time may not bring the happiness we imagine. A gift given before we are ready can become a burden instead of a blessing. Think about a farmer planting a seed. After placing it in the ground, he does not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. He understands that growth requires time. The roots must develop before the plant can rise above the surface. If the farmer becomes impatient and removes the seed too early, he destroys the very thing he was waiting for. Sometimes Allah is developing roots in our hearts before He gives us the blessing we are asking for. He is building patience. He is increasing our faith. He is teaching us lessons that we will need when the blessing arrives. There are blessings that require a stronger version of yourself. Maybe you are asking Allah for success, but Allah is first preparing your character. Maybe you are asking for a position of responsibility, but Allah is teaching you patience and humility before giving it to you. Maybe you are asking for a relationship, but Allah is healing your heart before bringing the right person into your life. Sometimes we only focus on what we want to receive, but Allah focuses on who we need to become. A person may ask Allah for wealth, but if that wealth came before they learned gratitude, it could become a source of arrogance. A person may ask for fame, but if their heart is not prepared, it could damage their relationship with Allah. A person may ask for a certain opportunity, but Allah knows they need more growth before they can handle it. Allah does not only prepare the blessing for you, He prepares you for the blessing. This is why delay should not always be seen as rejection. Many people mistake waiting for being denied. They think, Allah did not give me what I asked for, so maybe Allah does not want good for me. But this is not the reality. Delay does not mean denial, it means preparation. Sometimes Allah delays something because He is arranging things that you cannot see. The right people need to appear. The right circumstances need to come together. The right timing needs to arrive. What you are waiting for may already be written for you, but Allah is preparing the path that will lead you there. Imagine receiving something you wanted 5 years ago. Maybe at that time you were not emotionally ready. Maybe you did not have the wisdom to handle it. Maybe it would have distracted you from your purpose. Today, you might be a completely different person because of the lessons Allah gave you during that waiting period. The waiting itself was not empty. The waiting was part of the journey. Many times, we think the blessing is only the final result. But Allah places blessings throughout the entire process. The patience you develop is a blessing. The closeness to Allah you gain is a blessing. The maturity you build is a blessing. The lessons you learn are blessings. Sometimes Allah delays because He wants you to turn to Him more. If everything came instantly, many people would forget the one who gave it. But when the heart struggles, when the heart waits, when the heart raises its hands in dua, it creates a connection with Allah that is more valuable than the thing itself. Look at Prophet Musa. His journey was filled with moments of waiting and uncertainty. He was placed in a river as a baby, raised in the palace of Pharaoh, then later left his home and spent years away. Every stage seemed disconnected, but Allah was preparing him for a mission that would change history. If Prophet Musa judged his life during the difficult moments, he may not have understood the wisdom. But Allah was preparing every detail before the moment arrived. The same is true for us. There are things Allah is arranging behind the scenes. There are doors being prepared that we cannot see yet. There are answers being created in ways we do not expect. Sometimes we become so focused on the blessing that we forget the one who gives blessings. Allah may delay something because He wants your heart to become attached to Him before it becomes attached to what you are asking for. The strongest believers are not those who receive everything immediately. The strongest believers are those who continue trusting Allah even while waiting. They continue making dua even when the answer has not appeared. They continue believing that Allah's timing is better than their own. Your delay is not a sign that Allah has forgotten you. Your waiting is not proof that your dua has been ignored. The tears you cried in private were seen by Allah. The prayers you whispered when nobody else knew were heard by Allah. Maybe today you are standing in a season of waiting. Maybe you are wondering when things will change. Maybe you feel tired from hoping. But remember, Allah does not delay out of weakness. Allah delays out of wisdom. The one who created the universe in perfect order knows exactly when every blessing should arrive. The one who controls the sunrise and sunset knows exactly when your new beginning should come. So keep making dua, keep trusting Allah, keep taking the steps you can take. And remember this powerful truth: what Allah delays is not forgotten. What Allah postpones is not lost. What Allah prepares will arrive at the perfect time. Because sometimes the blessing you are waiting for is not late, you are simply being prepared for the moment when it arrives. There are moments in life when we look at our circumstances and think, why is this happening to me? We see pain, difficulty, and unexpected changes, and we assume that things are moving in the wrong direction. But when we look at the lives of the prophets, we discover a powerful truth. What appears to be a setback in our eyes can actually be part of Allah's greater plan. The stories of the prophets are not just stories from the past. They are reminders for every person who is struggling today. They teach us that Allah's plan is always working, even when we cannot understand the path we are walking on. The prophets experienced moments where everything seemed to fall apart, yet those very moments became the path towards something greater. Consider the story of Prophet Yusuf. When we look at the beginning of his journey, it does not look like the beginning of success. As a young boy, he was betrayed by the very people who should have protected him. His own brothers, overcome by jealousy, separated him from his family and left him in a well. Imagine the emotions Prophet Yusuf must have felt. He was young, alone, and far away from the people he loved. If someone looked at that moment without knowing the ending, they might have thought his life was being destroyed. They might have thought he had lost everything. But Allah was writing a story that was far greater than what anyone could see. The well that looked like an ending was actually a beginning. The place of darkness became the first step toward a future of honor. Allah was moving Prophet Yusuf toward a position he could never have reached through ordinary means. Later, Prophet Yusuf faced another difficult test. He was falsely accused and placed in prison despite his innocence. From a human perspective, it seemed like another injustice. He had already suffered betrayal, and now he was facing imprisonment for something he did not do. A person might ask, why would Allah allow this to happen to someone so righteous? But Allah's plan was not finished. The prison that seemed like punishment became the place where Allah prepared Yusuf for leadership. Inside that prison, his character, wisdom, and patience became known. Eventually, Allah brought him from the prison to a position of authority where he became a leader who helped save an entire nation. Think about the transformation. A child thrown into a well became a respected leader. A man who was imprisoned became someone whose wisdom was needed by thousands of people. The moments that looked like they were breaking him were actually building him. If Prophet Yusuf judged his life only by the difficult moments, he would have misunderstood everything. If he looked only at the betrayal, he would not have seen the blessing that was coming. If he looked only at the prison, he would not have understood the position Allah was preparing for him. And this is a lesson for us. We often judge our lives while we are still in the middle of the story. We look at one painful chapter and think the entire book is ruined. But Allah knows the ending before the chapter even begins. Now look at the life of Prophet Musa. His story also teaches us that Allah's plans often unfold through unexpected paths. When Prophet Musa was a baby, his mother faced one of the most frightening moments a mother could experience. Because of the oppression of Pharaoh, his life was in danger. By the command and inspiration of Allah, she placed him in a basket and placed him in the river. From a human perspective, this situation looked terrifying. How could placing a baby in a river be a solution? How could something that looked dangerous actually be protection? But Allah's plan was beyond human understanding. That same river carried Musa to the palace of Pharaoh. The child who was supposed to be harmed by Pharaoh's system was raised under Allah's protection inside Pharaoh's own home. Later, Prophet Musa left Egypt and entered a period of uncertainty and exile. He went from living in a palace to living away from everything familiar. He faced fear, loneliness, and a completely unknown future. If someone saw Musa during that period, they might have thought his life was moving backward. A person who once had comfort was now experiencing hardship. A person who once had security was now facing uncertainty. But Allah was preparing him for a mission greater than anything he could have imagined. The years of exile were not wasted years. They were years of preparation. Allah was building his patience, strengthening his character, and preparing him to stand against one of the greatest tyrants in history. The man who once left Egypt in fear would later return with the message of Allah and lead an entire nation toward freedom. The exile was not the end. It was preparation. The fear was not proof of weakness. It was part of the journey. The hardship was not a sign that Allah had abandoned him. It was a sign that Allah was preparing him for something greater. This is the pattern we see throughout the lives of the prophets. Allah does not always take them through easy paths, but He always takes them through meaningful paths. A well became a pathway to leadership for Yusuf. A prison became a place of preparation. A river became a place of protection for Musa. Exile became the beginning of a great mission. So when your life takes an unexpected turn, remember the prophets. Remember that difficulty does not mean Allah has lost control. Remember that a painful chapter does not mean your story has a painful ending. If they judged their lives early, they would have misunderstood everything. If Yusuf judged his story when he was in the well, he would not have known the honor Allah had prepared. If Musa judged his journey during exile, he would not have known the mission waiting ahead. And the same reminder applies to us today. The moment you are struggling with may not be the moment that defines your life. The door that closed may not be your final destination. The hardship you are facing may be preparing you for a blessing you cannot yet see. Allah is writing your story with wisdom. Trust the author of your life, even when you do not understand the chapter you are currently living. Because Allah's plans are never random. Every test has a purpose. Every delay has wisdom, and every hardship can become a path towards something greater. That thing you cried over, the thing that kept you awake at night, the thing you begged Allah to change, maybe it was not the punishment you thought it was. Maybe it was not a sign that Allah had forgotten you. Maybe, behind the pain you felt, there was a wisdom that your eyes could not see at that moment. There are certain moments in life that leave a deep mark on the heart. A dream that never happened. A person who walked away. A door that closed when you were expecting it to open. A path that suddenly changed when you thought you finally knew where you were going. In those moments, the heart naturally asks, why? Why did Allah allow this? Why did this happen when I was trying my best? Why did I lose something that meant so much to me? But sometimes the answer is not found in what was taken away. Sometimes the answer is found in what Allah was protecting you from, where Allah was redirecting you, and who Allah was helping you become. Because not every loss is truly a loss. Sometimes Allah removes something from your life as an act of protection. You may be holding on to something because your heart is attached to it, but Allah knows what that attachment could lead to. Allah sees the hidden harm that you cannot see. He knows the consequences that are invisible to you. Imagine a person holding a sharp object without realizing the danger. Someone who loves them may take it away, even if the person becomes upset. The person may think, "Why did you take this from me?" But the one who removed it understands the danger. Allah's protection can sometimes feel painful because we are attached to what He removes. We see the separation, but Allah sees the safety. We see the ending, but Allah sees what comes after. That door that closed may have been protection. Maybe you wanted an opportunity so badly. You prepared for it, you made dua for it, you believed it was the answer you were waiting for. But when it did not happen, your heart felt disappointed. Yet maybe Allah knew that opportunity would have taken you away from something better. Maybe it would have affected your faith, your peace, or your future. Maybe Allah closed that door because He was saving you for a door that matches your destiny. Sometimes Allah does not remove things because they are bad. Sometimes He removes them because He has something better planned. A child may cry when a parent says no to something they want. The child sees only the moment. The parent sees the consequences. The child sees disappointment. The parent sees protection. And Allah's knowledge and mercy are far greater than any parent's love. Sometimes pain is not only protection. Sometimes pain is redirection. There are moments when Allah allows a path to end because He wants to guide you toward a different path. You may have been walking toward something that you thought was your destination, but Allah knew there was another road waiting for you. A person may lose a job and later discover a career they never imagined. A person may experience heartbreak and later find a relationship built on deeper love and faith. A person may face failure and later realize that failure pushed them toward their true purpose. At the time, it feels like life is moving backward, but Allah may actually be moving you forward. Sometimes Allah redirects your life because He knows the direction your heart needs to go. There are also times when pain becomes a form of elevation. Allah uses difficulties to raise a person's status, strengthen their character, and bring them closer to Him. Think about how hardship changes a person. A person who has never struggled may not understand the pain of others. A person who has never experienced difficulty may not appreciate blessings deeply. A person who has never cried in dua may not know the sweetness of relying completely on Allah. Sometimes the hardest seasons produce the strongest hearts. Your pain may be teaching you patience. Your struggle may be increasing your faith. Your tears may be bringing you closer to Allah in ways comfort never could. The Prophet taught us that no fatigue, illness, sadness, harm, or distress touches a believer except that Allah removes sins through it. This reminds us that even the pain we experience is not meaningless. Even the moments we wish we could forget can carry reward and mercy from Allah. So when you look back at the moments that hurt you, do not only ask, "Why did Allah take this away?" Ask also, "What was Allah protecting me from? What was Allah teaching me? How was Allah bringing me closer to Him?" Because sometimes the thing that broke your heart was the thing that saved your soul. Allah is not ignoring you. He is guiding you. When you feel lost, Allah is guiding you. When you feel delayed, Allah is preparing you. When you feel broken, Allah is rebuilding you. When something leaves your life, Allah is still in control. Your pain has a purpose. The tears you shed were seen. The prayers you whispered were heard. The nights you struggled through were known by Allah. Nothing about your journey is forgotten. Maybe you cannot understand the reason today. Maybe the wisdom is still hidden. But trust that Allah does not write chapters without purpose. He does not close doors without wisdom. He does not test hearts without a reason. One day, when you look back, you may realize that the thing you begged Allah to keep was the thing Allah knew you needed to leave behind. And you may say with a heart full of gratitude, "Ya Allah, I did not understand your plan then, but now I see that your plan was always better than mine." Tawakkul is one of the most beautiful states of the believer's heart. It is the ability to work hard while knowing that the final result is always in the hands of Allah. It is not giving up. It is not sitting back and waiting for things to happen without effort. Tawakkul is taking every responsible step you can take, then placing your complete trust in the one who controls the outcome. Many people misunderstand trust in Allah. They think trusting Allah means they should not make plans, they should not work hard, or they should simply wait for things to change. But Islam teaches us a beautiful balance. A believer takes the means, makes the effort, and then relies upon Allah. You prepare, but Allah opens the doors. You work, but Allah provides the success. You make the effort, but Allah decides the result. Your responsibility is the effort. Allah's responsibility is the outcome. Imagine a farmer who wants a successful harvest. He does not sit in his home and say, I trust Allah, so I do not need to plant seeds. That is not tawakkul. The farmer prepares the land, plants the seeds, waters them, and takes care of them. Then, after doing everything he can, he trusts Allah to bring the growth. The farmer understands something important. His effort is necessary, but his effort alone is not enough. Rain comes from Allah, growth comes from Allah, blessings come from Allah. This is the meaning of true reliance. Sometimes we become exhausted because we carry a burden that was never meant for us. We try to control every detail. We worry about every possibility. We constantly think about what could go wrong. We believe that if we stop controlling everything, everything will collapse. But tawakkul teaches the heart to breathe. It reminds us that Allah is already managing what we cannot manage. Allah is already aware of what we cannot see. Allah is already taking care of matters that are beyond our ability. You can make plans, but you cannot control every outcome. You can prepare, but you cannot predict everything. You can give your best effort, but you cannot force results. And this is where peace enters the heart. A person who lacks tawakkul thinks, everything depends on me. A person with tawakkul understands, I have a responsibility, but Allah has the ultimate power. This does not make a person weak. It makes them stronger, because when your heart depends on Allah, you are no longer destroyed by unexpected changes. You do not lose hope when a plan fails because you know Allah's plan is greater. You do not break when a door closes because you know Allah can open another. You do not lose yourself when people leave because you know Allah remains. Tawakkul gives the believer stability in an unstable world. Think about Prophet Ibrahim when he was commanded to leave his family in a barren valley. From a human perspective, the situation seemed impossible. There was no visible source of food, no visible source of water, and no clear sign of what would happen next. But Prophet Ibrahim trusted Allah. He took the steps Allah commanded him to take, and Allah created blessings from a place where people saw nothing. The same Allah who created water from the desert can create solutions from situations that seem impossible. Sometimes Allah puts you in moments where your resources feel limited, so you learn that your true support was never your resources. Your true support was always Allah. There is a difference between relying on yourself and using what Allah has given you. Islam does not teach us to abandon effort. Islam teaches us not to worship our effort. Work hard, but do not believe your success comes only from your work. Study, but remember understanding comes from Allah. Seek opportunities, but remember openings come from Allah. Make plans, but remember Allah's plan is above every plan. You plan with effort, but you rest your heart with Allah. This is the beauty of tawakkul. Your hands are busy working, but your heart is peaceful because it knows Allah is in control. A person with tawakkul can face uncertainty without being destroyed by fear. They can experience delays without losing patience. They can face difficulties without losing hope. Because they know something powerful. If Allah wrote something for you, no one can prevent it from reaching you. And if Allah protected you from something, no one can force it into your life. This understanding brings incredible peace. Sometimes we spend so much energy worrying about what will happen tomorrow that we forget the one who controls tomorrow. We worry about the future while the Creator of the future is taking care of us. Allah says in the Qur'an, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65-3. This does not mean life will never have challenges. It means challenges will never have the power to destroy the heart that is connected to Allah. Your plans may change, your expectations may change, your circumstances may change, but Allah does not change. So continue working, continue making dua, continue striving for what is good, but after all your effort, place your heart in the hands of Allah. Because the believer's peace does not come from knowing exactly what will happen. The believer's peace comes from knowing who is in control of what happens. You may not know the next chapter of your life, but Allah does. You may not see the path ahead, but Allah does. You may not understand the delay, but Allah does. And when you truly trust Him, you realize that even the unknown future is safe in the hands of the one who knows everything. There are moments in life when the heart becomes filled with questions. Moments when you sit quietly and wonder, why is this happening to me? Why did Allah allow this situation? Why did my life change when I was trying so hard to make things better? These questions often come during the most difficult seasons of life. When something unexpected happens, when a dream disappears, when a person we love leaves, or when a struggle continues longer than we expected, the heart naturally searches for answers. It is part of being human to want to understand. The heart wants explanations. The mind wants reasons. We want to know why a certain door closed, why a certain opportunity was lost, and why a certain test came into our lives. But sometimes Allah's wisdom is greater than our ability to understand. A child may not understand why a doctor gives them medicine that tastes bitter. The child only feels the bitterness and discomfort. They may wonder why someone who loves them is allowing them to experience something unpleasant. But the parent understands what the child cannot see. The medicine is not a punishment. It is a form of healing. In the same way, there are things Allah allows in our lives that we may not understand immediately. We see the difficulty, but Allah sees the purpose. We see the pain, but Allah sees the wisdom behind it. Sometimes we think that if Allah loves us, our lives should always be easy. We think that if we are making dua and trying to obey Him, we should never experience hardship. But the lives of the prophets teach us something different. The people closest to Allah were not free from tests. Prophet Muhammad experienced loss, rejection, hardship, and pain. Prophet Yusuf faced betrayal and imprisonment. Prophet Musa faced fear and uncertainty. Their difficulties were not signs that Allah had abandoned them. Their difficulties were part of a greater plan. A test is not always a sign of Allah's anger. Sometimes it is a sign of Allah's care. Sometimes Allah tests those He loves because through that test they rise, they grow, and they become closer to Him. There may be moments when you feel confused because you cannot see the reason behind what is happening. You pray, but the situation does not change. You ask Allah for ease, but the difficulty remains. You try your best, but the results are not what you expected. In those moments, remember that Allah never asked you to understand everything. Allah asked you to trust Him. You don't need to understand the plan, you just need to trust the planner. Think about someone traveling on a road guided by someone who knows the destination perfectly. The traveler may not understand every turn. They may wonder why they are taking a longer route. They may question why they are not going directly toward the destination. But the guide sees what the traveler cannot see. The guide knows where the dangers are. The guide knows which path is safest. Allah is the one who knows the entire journey. Sometimes we become upset because we only see the present moment. We do not see what Allah is protecting us from. We do not see what Allah is preparing for us. We do not see how this moment will shape our future. A difficult experience today may become the reason you develop patience tomorrow. A painful loss today may become the reason you discover a better path tomorrow. A closed door today may become the reason you walk through a door that brings you closer to Allah. The believer's strength is not that they never feel pain. The believer's strength is that even in pain, they continue trusting Allah. There is a difference between questioning and losing faith. A person can feel sadness, confusion, and weakness while still having a heart connected to Allah. Even the prophets experienced moments of deep emotion. The important thing is where you turn with those emotions. Turn to Allah. When you do not understand, make dua. When you feel lost, ask Allah for guidance. When your heart feels heavy, remember that Allah knows what is inside your heart even before you speak. Sometimes the answer does not come immediately because Allah is teaching you something deeper than the answer itself. Maybe He is teaching you patience. Maybe He is strengthening your relationship with Him. Maybe He is removing your dependence on everything except Him. The greatest gift is not always getting what you asked for. Sometimes the greatest gift is becoming the person Allah wanted you to become through the journey. Your current situation may feel confusing, but confusion does not mean Allah has lost control. Your path may look unclear, but unclear does not mean there is no direction. A person looking at a single puzzle piece cannot understand the whole picture. They may think the piece does not belong. They may think the colors do not make sense. But when the complete picture appears, every piece finds its place. Your life is like that puzzle. Right now, you may only see one piece. Allah sees the entire picture. So when your heart asks, "Why is this happening?" remind yourself, Allah knows what I do not know. When your mind says, "This was not my plan," remind yourself, Allah's plan is greater than mine. When your heart feels afraid of the future, remind yourself, the one who carried me through every previous difficulty will carry me through this one too. You may not understand the chapter you are living today, but trust the one who wrote the entire story. Because Allah is not asking you to know everything. He is asking you to trust Him. And sometimes the strongest faith is not found when everything makes sense. Sometimes the strongest faith is found when nothing makes sense, yet your heart still says, Ya Allah, I trust you. There are moments in life when we feel like things are constantly changing around us. A plan does not work out. A path we wanted becomes difficult. A door that seemed promising keeps closing again and again. At first, we may feel frustrated. We may think, why is Allah stopping me? Why is everything becoming harder? But sometimes what we see as obstacles are actually forms of guidance from Allah. Allah guides His servants in ways we do not always recognize. Sometimes guidance comes through ease, when Allah opens a door and places peace in our hearts. But sometimes guidance comes through difficulty, when Allah closes a door that we were desperately trying to enter. The human heart often assumes that every open door is good and every closed door is bad. But that is not always true. A door can open and still not be beneficial. A door can close and still be a mercy. Because Allah does not only guide us by giving us what we want. Sometimes Allah guides us by protecting us from what we want. Think about the times when you tried so hard to make something happen, but no matter how much effort you gave, it continued to fall apart. You tried different ways. You waited, you made dua, you kept pushing forward, but the situation continued to move away from you. Sometimes that repeated closing is a message. Sometimes Allah is saying, my servant, this path is not where your peace is. Of course, not every difficulty means you should give up immediately. Islam teaches us patience and perseverance. We should